I would say probably 99% of the criticism I receive in my life, just generally in my day-to-day life, has more to do with people's inability to accept disabled people and people who look different from themselves and who have different beliefs than themselves than it usually has anything to really do with me. An example of this is people call me a green-haired freak all the time online. People say, "Oh, you're weird and you don't know anything and you're stupid and you don't understand this." And usually the same people who say that aren't even people who know what I'm talking about to begin with. I'll bring up historical facts or historical truths about things or things that I've researched, and sometimes people will negate that or get upset about that. And then more oftentimes than not, the people haven't even read or haven't even looked into what I'm talking about. And then if I don't respond politely to that, if I get upset, if I yell back, if I essentially don't tolerate ignorance, how everyone else, I guess, is okay doing, but because I'm an autistic and other disabled person as well, if I contradict people because I'm lower in the social hierarchy, it's not okay and I'll get in trouble and lose people and they'll get mad at me for being upset about their inconsistencies. And something that can happen is that it always just ends up being a popularity game, and I'm always going to lose a popularity game. Because what ends up happening inevitably is they're just like, "Oh, well, you can't do this and you're wrong." And it's like, okay, well, I did and I exist and this is how I exist. So you can take me or leave me. A lot of people have a problem with my PTSD. A lot of people have a problem with my autism. A lot of people have a problem with my DID. A lot of people have a problem with my being transgender or my being honestly, actually, literally everything that I am. Like, I don't think I can think of a single freaking thing that I am that doesn't make people fucking hate me and try and demonize me and take away my social rights and tell me that I'm not good enough in society. And really, that's what life as autistic is. It's just, for me, the most, aside from the ways in which it affects my brain and my body and disables me that way, the hardest part outside of that would be that for my entire life, I've simultaneously been told that I'm way too much for people, while also being told that I am never enough for people. That making me feel like and treating me like I am never going to be good enough. I am never going to be equal. My not having the same rights or treatment or social standing as anyone else around me for my whole life, but then simultaneously being told that I'm way, way too much, that I'm too reactionary, too over emotional, that I'm too whatever, while also being told that I'm not enough, that I'll never be enough, and that I should just give up and die, essentially. And that is life as autistic, in at least in the USA. Like, that is a defining feature of my life, and it's very deeply traumatic. And it ties into everything else because for me, my autism affects my DID. It affects my experience of my PTSD. It affects my experience of my gender and sexuality. It affects my experience of my spirituality. My autism affects me on every single level, on a bodily level, on a mental level, on a brain functioning level. And that's the thing that really puts me the most at odds with society. Even more so, I would say, than my being transgender and queer and other things, because the biggest argument people use against being queer is, "Oh, you're mentally ill and whatever," which is really just white supremacy, because it's just ableism, which ties into that. And it's like, well, what if I am? I'm both. I'm autistic and I'm queer. So what if I am mentally ill? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem for so many people? And then people get viscerally angry. They get very angry. And it's funny because the same people who hate me and get angry at me, like, are people who it's It's unfortunate, to say the least, but that's my life, and that's the cards I've been dealt, and I can't change that not necessarily a majority, but in my specific case, a majority of people that I'm going to be meeting in my day-to-day life, is going to be hostile interactions, is going to be people harassing me online or bullying me or wanting to hurt me or telling me they're my friend, but then there's always a catch, traumatizing me again and again and again, and then being upset when I have a reaction for my autism or my PTSD or my DID, when my default experience of other people in my life has been just being repeatedly brutalized and traumatized for existing forever. And then people tell you, stop being such a victim, stop having such a victim mentality. And the same people who are saying that are the people who are beating their kids, who are beating their wives, who don't see spanking as abuse, who are gaslighting their family members into supporting and putting up with their bullshit, but they have a problem with me because I have green hair and because I'm disabled and a queer person. And really, it's just a distraction. Like, it's literally just a distraction. Like, them getting upset at me or whatever isn't going to improve anything. Like, it's literally not that's the thing, is like, these people, they're all being lied to. The same people who bully me, I am actually reaching a point in my life where I do kind of genuinely feel bad for them, because it shows me that they've been lied to, they've been deceived, and they've been so deceived that they genuinely think like picking on minorities and like autistic people online is going to do anything, when it's not. It's just going to make things worse. And it's not even just going to make things worse for me, it's going to make things worse for them too. And so I am starting to reach a point where I'm starting to feel bad for the same kinds of people, like that guy who found my email and was like using his PTSD to judge me for my PTSD because I said that spanking is abuse, and he decided to harass me through my email address. And it's like, I understand that in a way these people are also traumatized, and they're taking out their frustration with the world on me because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do about the stuff going on in the world, and all the media has been paid with millions of dollars to tell them that people like me are the problem, that people who are different are the problem, that anyone too different, because they say think outside the box, but if you think too outside the box, they're like, get the fuck back in the box. Get the fuck back in your box. Like, you're not allowed to do that. Like, for example, I just saw the other day, there was someone who was like making fun of someone online for like, there's some, I don't know, maybe one of those reality TV shows or something where someone believes they're a vampire, and it's like an oddity. Like, oh, look at this weirdo, they think they're a vampire. And oh, look at these people, they think they're witches. And I am a witch. And it's also like, so what? How does it affect you? It doesn't. It's like, let people live. But because we live in this like very, very rigid and controlled, and you need to conform, you need to work, and your only value is through work, and everything is built and maintained to uphold these very overly simplistic, frankly, very harmful views of reality, people can't handle it, and they just freak out and they lash out. And I do sympathize with that, because I've been there before, I've done that, and I even know what that feels like. I know what that pain feels like, and I also suffer from that pain. But I don't think taking it out on other people and being like, oh, look at that thing, you should shame that because it's different, because it's weird, I don't think that's helpful to anyone. I don't think it's helpful to me. I don't think it's helpful to them. I don't think it does anything good. I don't think it changes anything in a positive way. I just think it makes everyone's lives more miserable.